You found yourself on another edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. And how can I describe today's show? I'm going to put it to you like this. Cavs respond, Sacramento survives, and screw the Bulls. Yeah, I think that's perfect. This is Let 'Em Know Kings United. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for the post-game reaction podcast of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls. This is Let 'Em Know Kings United. Let 'em know, Nation, you already know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Let 'em Know Kings United. Your Cleveland Cavaliers, Chicago Bulls, and Sacramento Kings post-game reaction podcast. I'm your host, Skylar Weisberg. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's program. And you can find this show, which is 100% completely free and available on your favorite podcast app like Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. And also on my YouTube channel. If you are watching this video, if you are watching this show on YouTube, NJHawk40, hit the like button on the video if you enjoy it. Hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a positive and nice comment down below. I don't want any negative comments on my show, all right? Give the show a follow on those platforms if you can, please. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate and spread the word out to your friends, and give this show a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app and whatever podcast app you're listening to this on. It is an amazing way to support the podcast, and I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. And I got three words to start the show. Screw the Bulls. Yeah, I said it. Screw the Bulls. 113-97 against the Milwaukee Bucks. You come on national television and you just embarrass me. You not only embarrassed me, but you embarrassed every single person that showed up in the United Center. Every single person that showed up in the United Center, you just embarrassed. The Chicago Bulls are like the worst franchise in the NBA. They didn't do crap in the trade deadline, again, because we got a front office that is complacent. We know that. We couldn't even defend Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo for the life of us. And on top of that, we don't know maturity. We don't know how to regain or keep our composure. It was so chippy to the point that Nikola Vucevic got ejected for a flagrant 2. DeMar DeRozan was complaining to the refs about not getting calls. Now, I will say this. The officiating was playing a factor in this game. I'm not going to deny DeMar DeRozan that. I'm not going to sit here and say that DeMar DeRozan was wrong. He's right to a certain extent because the officiating was just terrible. But the way the Bulls played is absolutely terrible as well. In the beginning of this game, you couldn't step up to Damian Lillard, a three-point knockdown shooter. You couldn't defend him. You couldn't defend Brook Lopez, a guy who can shoot threes. He's not a knockdown three-point shooter, but when it comes to the center, he's way better than Nikola Vucevic when it comes to shooting threes, bar none. And you're just allowing Giannis Antetokounmpo to drive to the lane every time that he gets. And Alex Caruso, listen, I admire your courage, okay? I admire your heart when it comes to playing defense on Giannis Antetokounmpo. But at the end of the day, Giannis Antetokounmpo is just straight up tough, and his size got the better of you. But I cannot blame this on Alex Caruso. He's the only guy that cares about this team. Drum actually tried to do his best, but listen, I thought when the Milwaukee Bucks made the coaching change to Doc Rivers, I thought it was going to kill the team, right? I thought it was going to make this team worse, and I'm speaking about the Milwaukee Bucks here. The Bucks actually got better. They got better, more specifically on the defensive end of the floor. The way the Milwaukee Bucks played defense on the Chicago Bulls was absolutely immaculate. And it's coming from me as a Bulls fan. They did an amazing job. They actually played the best defense I've seen in a long time. They held the Chicago Bulls to not get 100 points. That's like 5 straight games now that the Milwaukee Bucks held an opponent to 100 points. If they continue to play this kind of defense, this Milwaukee Bucks team is going to be a problem. A straight up problem. Now, about the Bulls. I am about to say something that in my natural life, I never thought I would say. As far as I'm concerned, the Chicago Bulls franchise can go straight to hell. I said it. This franchise can go straight to hell. I was at a breaking point last night. Like, I literally sat in my room watching this game, and I did not expect the Bulls to win. I didn't. But, my God, the effort was absolutely inexcusable. Inexcusable effort. No defense on Giannis Antetokounmpo, Damian Lillard, and Brook Lopez. No defense. No. And offensively, we didn't know how to move because Milwaukee was icing and hedging every single ball screen, every single play. Doc Rivers, I gotta give you a whole lot of credit, bro. You are making the Milwaukee Bucks a lot better. But as far as the Bulls, to hell with them. I say to hell with them. This franchise sucks. This team just sucks, bro. We should have traded Alex Caruso via the trade deadline. We should have got rid of DeMar DeRozan years ago. We should have got rid of Zach LaVine because he was injured. But you know what this front office does? They just keep him. They just keep him because they are hoping that Lonzo Ball comes back. Breaking news. He's never coming back to the league. He recently... I saw a report that recently said that Lonzo Ball is not doing any damn sprinting. But I saw another report that I saw him like dunking and jumping into the gym. I don't know what to believe, but I think Lonzo Ball is not coming back to the NBA. I'm sorry if you are a Lonzo Ball fan listening to this show, but I gotta tell everybody the truth here. This Bulls team is the true definition of a minor league basketball team going a minor league team. That's all I'm going to say. They are a minor league team. They don't deserve to put on that Bulls uniform on. They don't deserve to wear that logo across their chest. No, they don't. I'm sick and tired of watching a Bulls team that has no heart, no fight, no passion, not an ounce of caring, not an ounce of reading the scouting report, not knowing who their best players are. And Billy freaking Donovan, you are the worst coach in NBA history. You are probably the worst coach in the history of the Chicago Bulls. Based on my era watching the Bulls, Billy Donovan is just pathetic. Billy Donovan, you need to get out of here, bro. You need to get out of Chicago. But this front office, who's delusional, who's like the most brainwashable front office in the history of front offices, signed you to a secret extension that I don't even know if that secret extension actually exists. The Bucks, they just outclassed them. They just outclassed the Bulls. I mean, that's all I'm going to put it. The Greek Freak surpassed Sidney Moncrief as the winningest Milwaukee player with his 489th win, counting the playoffs, and the Bucks came away with their 5th straight win. There were several heated exchanges. Vucevic got ejected. DeMar DeRozan got some technical fouls. And by the way, you allow former Bulls like Pat Bev and Bobby Portis to laugh at you at your home floor. You made Pat Bev to do the too freaking small on our home floor? Get me out of Chicago, bro. Get me out of this city right now. Get me out of covering the Bulls. I might be done with this show after today. I might be done because every single day it's a freaking problem with the Bulls. It is a freaking problem. Doc Rivers said after the game, we're winning games, but for us, it's not about right now. Our whole key is getting ready. That is the first thing I told them. We still have work to do. We're still pushing. We got to get better. It's nicer to get wins than to lose, but we're not where we want to be yet. But the signs lately are promising, particularly when it comes to the defensive end. This was the 6th time in the past 9 games the Bucks held an opponent under 100 points. They did it just once in the first 52. Everybody has to be on the same page, and I feel like the last couple of games we're doing that, and that's why our defense has taken a step. Hopefully, we can keep it up. You know what Giannis Antetokounmpo just did? You know what Giannis Antetokounmpo did? When the All-Star break started, he looked himself in the mirror. He texted a question or tweeted a question. I don't know what he does, but he asked a question to himself. That he asked himself this: does he really want it? I gotta be better. I gotta start pushing the ball up the floor. I gotta stop being selfish and getting better. He sent that to the majority of his teammates, and right now the Milwaukee Bucks, they got the message. Hey Bulls, that is a real leader. That is a real leader. Something that the Bulls haven't had since Michael Jordan left. The Bulls have no leaders. Yeah, Alex Caruso on the defensive end, but I don't see any leaders. I don't. I see a bunch of nomads on a basketball team. That's the best way that I can describe the Chicago Bulls right now. That is the best way. And DeMar DeRozan saying, as far as officiating, just call it fair. I agree with that to a certain extent, but DeMar DeRozan, you got to be better. 12 points? And by the way, you are in like the 23,000 point club, but I really don't give a damn. My days as a Bulls fan are almost freaking over, bro. They are almost freaking over. If it wasn't for my girl sending me a Fanatics gift card on Christmas. She sent me a Fanatics gift card, and I used it to buy Chicago Bulls, Chicago Blackhawks, and United Center gear, because the United Center is one of the best arenas in the NBA, okay? One of the best arenas in the world, honestly. That's why I love the Bulls. That's why I love the Blackhawks, because of the arena. I don't like the team. I don't like the front office, but I like the United Center. If it wasn't for that, I would have been leaving the Chicago Bulls in an instant. This franchise is not going to go anywhere. Screw the Bulls. Screw the Bulls. Bucks shot 43% for the field. Bulls shot 42. Rebounds 49-44 in favor of the Bucks. Points in the paint were 44-40 in favor of the Bulls. Fast break points were 8-4. The turnovers, 12 turnovers for the Chicago Bulls. I'm not even going to acknowledge the Bulls. I'm not. Because they don't deserve to be acknowledged. They don't after this performance. I mean, Vooch has stepped up a little bit. 17 points, 9 rebounds, almost a double-double before getting ejected. Kobe White was the only Bull with 20 points. He finished with 22. 2 rebounds, 3 assists. He was 7-14 for the field in 38 minutes. Ayo Dosunmu stepped up with 15 points. Drummond, 6 points. 9 points and 10 rebounds. Free Batim with 6 points. We had 4 rebounds. He was 2 of 7 for the field, 2 of 5 from 3. I need to see him get more minutes, but at the end of the day, it was about the Greek Freak. 46 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal and a block, 16 of 22 for the field. Dame Dalla doing his thing with 16 points. Patrick Beverley came back to Chicago and straight up cooked. 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and taunted the Chicago Bulls as he should because the Bulls deserve it. Bobby Portis, 11 points off the bench, 4 of 13 for the field with 9 rebounds. Brook Lopez, 12 points, 4 of 8 from 3. Every shot that he took was threes. That's the only thing that he took. Every shot that Brook Lopez took was threes, and the Bulls couldn't defend it. Look, good win for Milwaukee. Great win for Milwaukee. As far as the Bulls, Screw the Bulls. Screw the Bulls. This Bulls team can go straight to hell, and this front office can go with them because I am sick and tired of rooting for a complacent franchise. And I'm only sticking with the Bulls and the Blackhawks because I love the United Center. Screw the Bulls. Screw the Bulls. When we come back, Sacramento, they almost gave me a heart attack, but they survived and they got the win in overtime. And we're going to talk about that when we come back. Something positive on Let 'Em Know Kings United. Welcome back to Let 'Em Know Kings United, and now we're going to talk about two teams that actually wanted it, that actually wanted to win. And I want to first talk about the Sacramento Kings because the Sacramento Kings were able to survive in overtime against the Minnesota Timberwolves, 124-120 in overtime, like I said before. Mike Brown, after this game in the locker room, said it was a statement win. To a certain extent, yes, it was. The Sacramento Kings were the only team in the Western Conference that could say that they beat the number one team in the Western Conference, the Minnesota Timberwolves, in the Target Center. Not once, but twice. No other team in the Western Conference can say that. I love the fact that Malik Monk stepped the hell up with no De'Aaron Fox. Malik Monk is that dude. Forget the sixth man of the year. He is just the man tonight. I love the fact that he scored 35 of his 39 points after halftime with this overtime win. Now, Anthony Edwards, the leading scorer of the Minnesota Timberwolves, had 11 points in the first half, but he did not play after halftime due to personal reasons, but in reality, his wife was in labor and he was expecting the birth of his child. So shout out to Anthony Edwards. Congratulations on the childbirth. And that is a legitimate reason why the Ant-Man missed the second half and overtime of this game. I mean, I'm not going to fault him. I'm not going to fault him because he doesn't want to miss the birth of his child. I'm not going to fault him with that. But also, can we now put some more respect on Domantas Sabonis? Another double-double, 21, 15 rebounds. Like, nothing new. Nothing absolutely new. Nothing new. I love the fact that Sacramento, at times, they were making a lot of big shots. They were making a lot of big shots. And I love the fact that Mike Brown said after this game, the great teams always have 2 or 3 guys like that where sometimes you don't have a call to call a play. You just say, here's the ball. Go make a play, and for yourself and for your teammates. And Malik did that, especially with Fox out down the stretch. We needed somebody to stand up for us, and Malik was the guy that did. Malik Monk was an absolute beast. He was on straight attack mode all game long, but especially in that second half, he was making plays not only for himself, but the team. He made 16 of 29 shots, including 5 of 8 3-pointers, to make up the absence of Fox's 26 points per game. He should have started. He should have started Mike Brown. That's the only thing that I'm going to knock you with this. Malik Monk should have started. I mean, at least give it a shot, right? But playing against a much bigger team, the Kings turned the game around with 14 offensive rebounds, which led to 20 second chance points. I love the fact that the Kings were coming into this game plan saying, hey, if we rebound, we're going to get a lot of shots. And I absolutely love that. I absolutely love the game plan, and I'm gonna credit Mike Brown for that. Chris Finch said after this game that Our slow start and the offensive rebounding were the things that sunk us. Hey, Chris Finch, you are the absolute reason why the Minnesota Timberwolves are not going to win a championship or go deep to the playoffs. Because for the second straight time, the Wolves dug themselves a hole early. 2 nights after falling behind Memphis 14-0, Minnesota started 1 for 4 with 3 turnovers on its first 7 possessions. Meanwhile, the Sacramento Kings hit 4 of their first 6 3-point attempts and raced to an 18-4 lead. Sacramento set the tone all freaking night. Now, I knew that Minnesota was going to make their run, right? I knew that Minnesota was too good of a team. And the fourth quarter, Sacramento almost gave me a heart attack. They almost really did. Because, once again, the Minnesota Timberwolves were turning the ball over. They were turning the ball over like hotcakes. They were giving the Sacramento Kings a golden opportunity, a golden ticket to win this game. But the inability of Sacramento to make the free throws down the stretch potentially could have costed the Sacramento Kings this game. Now, thank God Malik Monk is him, and Malik Monk led us to a win, but my God, the Sacramento Kings still have a lot to learn. They still have a lot to work on when it means to finish games in the clutch. And the Wolves offense also got stagnant in the worst possible time. After taking their 3-point lead in overtime, they came up empty on 6 consecutive possessions. Mike Brown mentioned it to the Sacramento Kings in the locker room. The Sacramento Kings were able to get 7 consecutive stops in order to win this game. That says a lot about the defense of Sacramento, because they were without De'Aaron Fox for all of the game, and they were without Domantas Sabonis that got fouled out. That's a good win for Sacramento. That's a statement win for Sacramento. I don't like the fact that we are still struggling in the clutch, and I don't like the fact that we couldn't make our free throws, but this is a win that all Sacramento Kings fans could be proud of, because we beat the number 1 team in the Western Conference not once but twice. No other team in the West can say that. No other team. Brown said, we were trying to put bodies on bodies all night. We have to have a level of physicality in order to win games, because we're not going to be able to score 125 points every single night. But to Sacramento's credit, I thought they were physical all night long. And I don't really like the stress, but you know what? That was a win, statement win for Sacramento, and it's good to get those wins. It feels good. 50% for the field for both teams. Both teams shot an equal percent, 38% from three-point range. The rebounds, 45-44, slight advantage for the Sacramento Kings, but they had an offensive rebound advantage of 14-8. The assists were 29 apiece. The steals were 8-4 Sacramento. The points in the paint were 68-54 in favor of Sacramento. The fast break points, 19-0. 19-0. Fast break points advantage in favor of Sacramento. That is the biggest difference of this game. Malik Monk, he is him. 39 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, 16-29 for the field, 5 of 8 from 3. Domantas Sabonis, another day, another double-double. This man is in the MVP conversation. I don't give a damn what anybody says. 21 points, 15 rebounds, 8 assists. There's nothing else for me to say. Keegan Murray, 17 points, 7 of 15 for the field with 5 rebounds. Harrison Barnes, 14 points, 50% for the field with 2 rebounds. Davion Mitchell off the bench, 16 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Keon Ellis, who got the start in place of De'Aaron Fox, 2 points. That's not good enough, but he had 7 assists and 4 steals. I guess that's good enough as far as defense goes. McDaniels led the Minnesota Timberwolves in scoring with 26, shooting 9-11, 5-7 from 3 with 7 rebounds and an assist. Karl Anthony Towns, 19 points. 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Rudy Gobert, 16 points, 16 rebounds and assists. And by the way, Rudy Gobert, you need to learn how to set a proper screen. Every single time when you're setting a screen, right, you need to be set. Rudy Gobert does not know how to set a proper screen, and Chris Finch, I blame you because the Minnesota Timberwolves are poorly coached in that area. First of all, Keegan Murray, or I should say Rudy Gobert, at times when he sets a screen, he gets set and he elbows somebody when he sets a screen. That's poorly coached. That's poorly coached. Chris Finch, do you go over this? Do you teach the Minnesota Timberwolves how to set screens? Because I don't think you don't. And Rudy Gobert, you need to learn how to set a proper screen. At the end of the day, this was a statement win for Sacramento. I didn't like the fact that we couldn't make free throws. I didn't like the fact that Sacramento almost gave me an anxiety attack. But, hey, we won the regular season series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's a big positive, and that's a big positive for Sacramento to build on. Coming up next, the Cleveland Cavaliers continue the old adage, death, taxes, and the Cavs beat the Pistons. We're going to talk about a Cavs win on Let 'Em Know Kings United when we come back. Welcome back to Let 'Em Know Kings United, and if you are a Detroit Pistons fan, cover your ears right now. Cover your ears because you are going to be sick and tired of hearing me say what I am about to say. The old adage when it comes to the Cavs and the Pistons holds true. Death, taxes, and the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Detroit Pistons 110-100, a regular season sweep of the Detroit Pistons. Now, I want to give the Detroit Pistons credit. Now, I know what you're thinking. You might be saying, why, Sky? Why am I going to give the Detroit Pistons credit? They're the worst team in the league. Their record is 9-50. Monty Williams is a terrible coach. All of that. I'm not going to say that because when I look at the matchups between the Cavaliers and the Pistons this season, they were all close. 8-point, 9-point, 8-point, and 10-point wins. That's the regular season series between the Cavs and Pistons, y'all. They did not blow the Detroit Pistons out in the final outcome of this game. Now, surely in this game, they had a 21-point lead at one point, and then obviously the Detroit Pistons got back into the game because the Cleveland Cavaliers probably lost their focus and probably lost a sense of urgency there. But I will say, this Detroit Pistons team coming out of the trade deadline looked more mature, looked more focused, and Austin Carr, a Cleveland Cavaliers broadcaster who I love so much, okay? He is one of the main reasons why I got back to watching the NBA this year. I might do a pod covering the WNBA in the near future, but I'm sticking with NBA right now. But that's beside the point. Austin Carr said on the broadcast that the Detroit Pistons got rid of the guys that couldn't fit in. The Joe Harrises, the Danilo Gallinaris, the Killian Hayes of the world. And now the Pistons are in a situation where they are molding their young core. The Detroit Pistons, they are going to get there. A couple of years from now, they are going to get there because I will give the Pistons credit also that the Pistons do draft well. They do have really good draft picks, but at the end of the day, the Cleveland Cavaliers were just the better team. And they did this without Karis LeVert with an elbow injury, and Donovan Spider Mitchell with knee soreness. But Darius Garland, he was just straight hooping out of the gym last night. 29 points, and he hit 8 threes. 8 3-pointers for DG, probably his best game in a couple weeks. Evan Mobley, 22 points and 17 rebounds. The Cavaliers led at one point, 77-52 in the third quarter, but only scored 19 fourth quarter points, allowing the Pistons to get as close as 107-100. But at the end of the day, the Cavaliers improved to 39-20, and they remain in first place in the Central. Garland was 8 of 12 for three-point range and 1 of 9 on two-pointers. DG said about that, it felt really good coming out of my hand. We were missing 2 big pieces on our team, so I had to be super aggressive, and I give credit to Darius Garland on that. When no Donovan Mitchell and no Vert for Cleveland, he had to step up, right? He had to be the aggressive player. He had to be the guy that set the tone for Cleveland. He had to be the guy that will lead Cleveland to victory. And good job to Darius Garland for that. At one point, the Cleveland Cavaliers were leading 91-70 at the end of the third, having hit 50% of their three-pointers and only 34% of their two-point attempts. And then also at one point, Cleveland led by 15 points at halftime and started the third quarter with a 14-4 run. But of course, the Detroit Pistons got back into the game. About Darius Garland, JB Bickerstaff said this: when he's hitting like that, it means people have to chase him and make tough decisions. If you want to trap him or if you want to switch, it creates advantages for us in other places. As far as the Pistons, Monty Williams, who, despite a 9-50 record for Detroit, he is not a bad coach per se, okay? He's not a bad coach. Yeah, he made some mistakes this season. Yeah, the Pistons are just like god-awful this year. But it's not all on Monty Williams. It's not all on him. He led the Phoenix Suns a couple years ago to the NBA Finals. It's not all on him. But he said, I'm not happy with the outcome. There were a number of lapses with the second unit. I have to figure out a combination that can play the way that we want to play. JB Bickerstaff gave the Detroit Pistons a ton of credit. And I will give them a ton of credit too. JB said you have to give them a ton of credit. I think it's extremely difficult what they are going through, but they are playing hard no matter the score. The Pistons might be a 9-50 basketball team. And if you are a Detroit Piston fan listening to this, I am so sorry. I am so sorry that I got to keep reminding you of that. But I will say that the Pistons at times do not play like a 9-50 team. This team plays hard. This team is tough. This team is physical. This team is so talented. You got Jalen Duren, who is an absolute stud. Jaden Ivey, who is an absolute stud. Cade Cunningham is looking like a problem after missing all of last season due to injury. But the story of the game was the three-point shooting for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They dominated the first half from beyond the arc. They outscored Detroit 39-9 on three-pointers, including 6 from Darius Garland, and led by as many as 26 points at one point. The Cavaliers were going back to playing their style of basketball. They went back to their style, and at the end of the day, regardless of the comeback attempts that the Detroit Pistons had in this game, at the end of the day, the Cleveland Cavaliers did what they ultimately supposed to do. They swept the Detroit Pistons, probably the second consecutive year that the Pistons swept, or the Cavs swept the Pistons. And also, JB said, I think we were too far back, or, Thompson said, I think we were too far back on him at times, but he has hit some tough shots. I didn't like that. I don't like feeling like that. Honestly, Asar Thompson, I didn't like it either. If I was guarding Darius Garland, I wouldn't like that. So I understand where you're coming from on that. But like I said, at the end of the day, the Cavaliers did what they were supposed to do, and coming off a game where they got just bullied bullied on the glass, giving up 74 rebounds to Vooch, Dre, and the Chicago Bulls. They completely bounced back on the rebounding department, 53 to 42 on that stat, while shooting 40% from the field and 44% from three-point range. They also shot 86% from the free throw line. Both teams shot the ball well from the free throw line, I will say that. The assist numbers were 25-24 in favor of Cleveland. The Pistons shot 37% for the field and 30% for three-point range in this game. The steals were 10-7 in favor of Detroit. The blocks were 7-6 in favor of Detroit, but 16 turnovers for Cleveland. That's something that they need to clean up. That's something that they desperately need to clean up, because you cannot allow 16 turnovers against a team with a record that the Pistons have. You got to do a better job of taking care of the basketball. But with that said, though, they dominated on the rebounds, but they didn't dominate in the paint. The Pistons won the paint battle 40-28, which I found really, really surprising. Really surprising, because I thought the Cavaliers were going to be the better team in that area. I thought the Cavs were going to be the more aggressive team when it comes into the paint. They were aggressive when it comes to rebounding, but they got dominated in the paint. I don't think that makes sense to me. Because if you're a team like Cleveland, when you win the rebounding battle, you might as well be thinking, I might as well win in the paint too, right? But the Pistons won the paint battle while the Cavs won the rebounding battle. Doesn't make sense to me. But when you get a win, it doesn't matter what makes or what not or what doesn't make sense. Evan Mobley had a really good game for Cleveland. 22 points, 17 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Jared Allen, something's up with you, man. Something's up with you. I didn't like your stat line as far as the points with only 9, but you grabbed 15 boards, 2 assists, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Darius Garland, the three-point shot was falling for you, my boy. 29 points, 8 of 12 from 3, with 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. Max Strus had 14 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists in this game. Off the bench, Sam Merrill was Sam the Man once again. 12 points, 4 of 9 from the field. All of them were threes, with 3 rebounds and a assist. Isaac Okoro, this guy, I love Isaac Okoro's game, and I love the drastic improvement that Isaac Okoro has had all year, especially from 3. 12 points. He was 2 of 5 for three-point range, but he also had 4 assists, a steal, and a big-time block in this game. As far as the Detroit Pistons, Jalen Duren, he is a dog. 14 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 of 7 for the field. Isaiah Stewart, 16 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Asar Thompson, 15 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks. Jaden Ivey, he's starting to grow on me a little bit. 18 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Cade Cunningham, he is a problem. 21 points, 10 assists, the double-double for him, while shooting 6 of 19 from the field. At the end of the day, the Cleveland Cavaliers did what they were supposed to do. They were able to complete their regular season sweep over the Detroit Pistons. And the Cavs just need to continue to get rolling. The Cavs need to continue to roll. The Cavaliers need Donovan Mitchell back. As long as the Cavs continue to stay healthy, they are going to do some big things. And they're in a really big test coming up tomorrow against the New York Knicks on national television, ESPN, inside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. It's going to be a playoff-type atmosphere, and I am here for that. That's going to do it for today's edition of Let 'Em Know Kings United. You can find this show on your favorite podcast apps like Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pandora, as well as YouTube. Like the video if you're watching it on my YouTube channel, NJHawk40. Hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a positive comment down below. Give the show a follow on those platforms. Turn on your notifications so you know about the next episode. Please rate, spread the word out to your friends, and give Let 'Em Know Kings United a 5-star review. I'm your host, Skylar Weisberg. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, and I will see you right back here for another episode of Let 'Em Know Kings United.